In 2021, Halloween Kills would be unleashed upon the world, and it would begin to create fractures in the Halloween fandom. Today, I want to look back on the time that was October 21 and reminisce about Halloween Kills.
She stopped at a light and saw him walking in that field behind the Lost River Drive-In. Julie said he was so creepy.
Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Halloween Kills. Now, if my recent videos going back on Halloween and Halloween Ends haven't made you feel old, allow me to double down and hopefully telling you that this week was the 4th anniversary of Halloween Kills will also make you feel old. Now, I don't want to depress you, but it is depressing nonetheless. So let's flip that on its head. Let's look back at the time that was, the excitement that we had, our expectations, and our initial response to the movie. So as I said in my previous video on Halloween 2018, I was very lukewarm on that movie. But I also understand that that movie had an impossible task. It was not going to live up to my lofty expectations. It had been so long since I'd seen Michael Myers, I had delusions of grandeur in my head, things that no movie was ever going to be able to meet. So that wasn't fair. Halloween 2018 was a huge deal. It made a ton of money, it got great reviews, it's the highest grossing slasher movie of all time. So obviously we were going to get a sequel, right? Halloween Kills was announced with Halloween Ends not long after Halloween 2018 was such a hit. But obviously the dreaded C word happened and Kills got pushed from 2020 to 2021. Now I've got to be totally honest with you guys. Even though I wasn't a huge fan of 2018, I was fully in the throes of the Halloween insanity at the time. I knew that Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends would give Blumhouse an opportunity to do something new with Halloween. See, Halloween 2018 was always going to be a movie that felt like it had to err close to what came before it and not tread too much new ground. You're rebooting it but continuing an original storyline, so you want it to be familiar enough. And honestly, a lot of the times with legacy sequels, that's what bums me out. They're not really trying to establish themselves and go in a new direction. They're trying to just be like, hey, remember the greatest hits? So Halloween Kills was one that I was actually looking forward to because I was like, finally, we're going to open this thing up. We're going to meet new characters. We're going to see new things happen. We're going to get a new take on Halloween. And then the first trailer came out. And it's actually funny because my channel was really small at the time, and I did a trailer reaction for Halloween Kills trailer the night it came out. And the thing had like 1,000 views in like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. And then it got copyright striked. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not my moment. Now, as a content creator, it's really frustrating when that happens because when you're reacting to a trailer, that is totally covered under fair usage law. So I don't know why these studios always continue to go after these videos only to lose it upon dispute, which they eventually did, but it puts a hold on that video and really limits its reach when that is in dispute. So a video that I thought could really explode my channel ended up just being a nothing burger. But with the release of that first trailer, I remember being like, okay, this looks different. This looks really good. I'm really excited for this. Why? Because the trailer showcased Michael Myers as like the Terminator. Michael Myers looked like he could beat Jason's ass. Like, I was like, no way. I'm not really used to Michael looking this way. Sure, we had Michael like that in the Rob Zombie movies, but like that was almost a one-off. This is the original timeline, right? A sequel to the original Halloween, and this is the Michael Myers I'm getting. Like, okay, I'm in. It looked really colorful and vibrant. I was like, dude, I'm totally on board for this thing. So I remember getting ready to go to the theater that night upon its release, and I know there was a lot of people that were like, I'm going to watch it on Peacock. I totally understood. If people weren't comfortable going out in public yet, I can't blame them. So having the option to watch it from the comfort of your own home was something really cool. It definitely hurt the box office for this movie, though this was still a big hit. But it was a nice thing to offer to people so they didn't have to venture out into the world at the time. I went to the theater, okay? I was not going to miss this opportunity in theaters. I looked for IMAX, couldn't find IMAX anywhere. Was super bummed about it because there was belief that it was getting released in IMAX, and then that was pulled in the second trailer. It no longer showed that. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe it got released in IMAX and I just didn't have any near me. I don't know. And from the moment this movie began, just like Halloween 2018, I was in. They had me hook, line, and sinker. I was like, this is interesting. I'm looking forward to this. This looks promising. The difference with this movie, though, was that it kept me engaged the entire time. This was one of the most fun theater experiences I've ever had for a horror movie. Of course, it didn't scare me at all, but there were moments that got a genuine reaction out of me. Whether that was shock, laughter, I was like, dude, I am totally into this thing. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe this was a sequel to the movie that I was so disappointed by 3 years prior. But it was, and it brought a lot of those characters back, and even brought in new characters and old characters. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm here for it. The recreation of the 1978 flashback is great. Aside from The Mask, which I feel like they tried a little too hard on, and Loomis, and we've talked about that, I really, really dug it. This was a great sequence. It felt so period accurate, and I was like, they know what they're doing here, okay? They're cooking. Like, let them cook. And then the movie just went on, and I was like, this is a super fun ultra slasher that's not asking me to think too hard. It's not asking me to consider greater things. It's simply just saying, hey, do you want Michael Myers butchering people for an hour and 45 minutes? Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, that's what I'm here for. And I left the theater from this movie just being so satisfied. Like, I feel like Halloween 2018 actually helped me when I watched this movie because I put my expectations so much lower going into this movie. I just wanted to have fun. And my initial reaction was that this movie delivered in ways that I felt like 2018 didn't for me. And then I went back and saw it in theaters again, and I had the exact same response. And then I watched it on Peacock the week of Halloween, and I had the exact same response. And I remember telling everybody in my inner circle at the time, I think it's better than the last one. Now, if you guys remember, this was the first splinter in the fan base. Well, since Rob Zombie's movies, but people had largely forgotten about those at this point. Halloween Kills was a movie that you either really liked or you really didn't like. There weren't a ton of people in that middle ground of like, oh, hey, it was fine. Sure, there are some, but most people landed on one extreme or the other. I really liked it. But all the complaints about this movie, I actually felt like were a little misguided. See, people complained about the overuse of Evil Dies Tonight, and I agree, it's definitely overused and pretty hammy at times, but I didn't let that color my experience of the movie as a whole. Sure, a lot of people really had issue with the fact that Michael was this unstoppable force. There was insane amounts of gore, it was a super high body count, some people thought it was offensive. I just don't see it. I mean, this is what slasher movies were in their heyday. Sure, I mean, let's be honest, the effects are way better now. And sure, the body count is probably higher than most slasher movies. But like, back in the 80s, people dug slasher movies because it was a bunch of people that were nice to look at, that got killed in creative ways, and our antagonist looked like a badass. Like, that's kind of what Halloween Kills is. Now, sure, I'll meet people halfway and say it turns it up to 12. Like, absolutely. There are moments where it's like, okay, holy crap. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like once you've already treaded into that territory in the slasher subgenre, I don't know why getting a little bit more is bad. If you're already desensitized to that kind of movie, what's the problem with a movie doubling and tripling down on that? And like, even as somebody that liked this movie, I did have complaints. I felt like I said, I did not like the Loomis voice at all. I think they probably should have just left Loomis out of the flashback, or just had him visually, but not say a line. I feel like they tried a little bit hard with The Mask, and it doesn't really look like The Mask from 1978. I think bringing back certain characters was a mistake. Like, we didn't need Sheriff Brackett. I'm sorry, but Charles Cyphers, may he rest in peace, was incredibly old at the time and had not acted in a while. His line delivery was awful, and if you're going to bring him back, why would you not let him have a moment with Laurie? That just doesn't make any sense to me. There's decisions like that throughout this movie where I'm just like, okay, this is blatant fan service. I didn't need this, I didn't need that. I'm specifically thinking of Marion's line before she tries to shoot Michael and realizes there's no bullets in the gun. Like, there are moments like that in this movie. But I wanted a fun time. with this movie. I wanted Michael Myers to truly feel like an unstoppable force. I wanted this movie to try to separate itself from 2018 and 1978 in as many ways as possible. And while the connective tissue and direct callbacks are absolutely still there in this movie, I feel like this movie definitely exists in its own world. This is the Haddonfield that we are coming to know and accept. These characters, even if they're returning from the 78 movie, are very much this universe's version of them. It doesn't feel like a direct continuation from that movie. I feel like this movie definitely wanted to deliver on giving the fans a fun time, making Michael Myers seem like a badass, giving us incredible atmosphere, and I think it nailed it. Like, I don't think this is a movie you have to really think that hard about. Now, sure, there are some underlying themes in this movie, one of them being mob mentality is bad, and it is bad. When people want to rise up and go against something that they hardly know anything about, or they're ill-equipped to go against, it usually ends badly. That is definitely a prominent theme throughout this movie. There's also the themes of generational trauma. I know people got annoyed with JLC saying it a lot, I did too, but it is true. It's on display in this movie. There are things this movie has to say, but I've always said for years, I feel like this movie is largely plotless. Like, I don't really feel like its goal is to tell a story. Its goal is to plant you firmly in Haddonfield, Illinois, in the midst of chaos, and just watch it unfold. And I dig it. I really do. And I was definitely interested to see the responses to this movie, because although the vitriol wasn't as crazy as it was for Halloween Ends, it's still like rated the same way. They're pretty neck and neck with critic and fan scores, and that's wild to me because you would think that Halloween Ends was just so much worse in everybody's eyes, but Halloween Kills really was a movie that was split with fans. You loved it or you hated it. And honestly, little did they or any of us know that just a year later they would release arguably an even more controversial movie that would fracture the fan base probably for good. There are going to be fans forever that are going to be fans of this trilogy largely or not fans. Fans of Ends specifically or absolutely not fans. And I don't think that's ever going to go away. And I think Halloween Kills was the first step in that direction. A lot of people want to focus on the one that came after, but it really began here. But I do remember this being a big deal. I remember everybody talking about this. It made a lot of money yet again, and I felt like Michael Myers is here to stay for a while. So why are you having the next one be titled The End? You're writing yourselves into a corner. But look, I just wanted to reflect on Halloween Kills. I wanted to reflect on where I was at leading up to that movie after 2018, my initial response to it, my response to the vitriol online and the split between the fans, and where I sit with the movie today and why. But I want to know down below what you guys think. What were your thoughts going into Halloween Kills? Were you excited? Were you not looking forward to it at all? Did the movie change your mind at all? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Whatever it is, please sound off in the comments section. I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. Please make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.